Welcome to Conversations That Rock. I am Shireen Rampersad, the Program Manager for SATCAP, Successful Application of Technology Centered Around People. SATCAP looks at the effects, impacts and challenges of mining modernization on people. It lends support to the environmental, social and governance agenda. And, SATCAP is intent on taking stakeholders along. So stakeholder inclusion is very important for us. In 2025, we hosted a women empowerment event on gender-based violence in mining. And today I'd like to continue that conversation with the lovely ladies that we have here today. So in terms of our discussion today, thank you very much for your participation. Welcome. I'd like each of you to introduce yourself. Sylvia, maybe we can start with you. Thanks.
Thank you, Shireen, for inviting me. My name is Sylvia Seleka and I am the Group Senior Talent Manager for Harmony. I am in the talent space, but part of my portfolio entails co-creating strategies for women in mining and gender-based intervention.
Thank you. Beauty, perhaps you'd like to introduce yourself to us?
Thank you, Shireen, for inviting me. My name is Beauty Senabe. I work for the DMPR as a policy developer. But the role that's key, that brings me here, is the role of being a chairperson of the Women in Mining Advisory Committee at the Mine and Safety Council.
Lungilwa?
Thank you so much, Shireen, for having me here today. My name is Lungilwa Gunene. I am the Business Development Director for the South African Mining Youth Association, which is a non-profit organization that basically advocates for the inclusion of the youth and emerging professionals within the mining sector.
Thank you. It's wonderful to have all you lovely ladies here today who are so passionate about gender-based violence in mining and making such a huge contribution in all your different spaces. So welcome and thank you today for being here with us. Beauty, maybe if I can start with you. We do know that the MHSC has provided a guidance note to actually help mines to deal with gender-based violence in mining. Could you perhaps tell us about some of those salient aspects that are so important for, to guide and support mines, as well as from your perspective, whether WIMAC perspective or DMPR, what has been some of those observations and learnings?
As I alluded, the Women in Mining Advisory Committee was established in 2020 for the purpose of looking after women in mining challenges in the industry. And so far, one of the highlights was the development of the guidance note that you're speaking about. The guidance note is actually emanating from the National Strategic Plan of our country on management of gender-based violence and femicide. So the main pillars that the NSP is based on are informing the development of the guidance note. So basically those are the main areas. So basically when you read the guidance note, you need to read it in context of the NSP.
Lovely. And any observations and learnings? How are mining companies dealing, with the implementation of the guidance note itself?
So far, we realize that a lot of mines are doing work within gender-based management and in the industry. But the kind of management they're doing still needs to go further in terms of the implementation of the guidance note itself. Because these are the early stages of the guidance note, because it's just a year that's published. So we are still in the implementation stage.
And I think that's why we're so excited to have Sylvia here today, because Sylvia is at the coal face, and I think mining companies are putting in so many tactics and strategies to actually mitigate gender-based violence. And, from Harmony Gold's side, I think there's so much of learnings. What are you guys doing to make a difference to mitigate gender-based violence?
Yeah, I think over and above, policies, standards, procedures that are available in the company, we have decided as Harmony to be proactive and go and do a large-scale survey that was emanating around, gender-based experience of all our employees. So we commissioned this the survey for us not to really, think we know what the people are experiencing, but we wanted to hear from them on what they are experiencing. And I must say, we have gotten more than what we have bargained for. Because the hard evidence that we got from the survey, made us to implement a whole lot of interventions. But there's really one impactful interventions that we have started with, because what the data said to us was you need to start with the awareness and the behavior. And then from that, we implemented a gender-based biases, workplace harassment and bullying awareness training across all our operations. And what the intervention really covers, it really starts on the behaviors, because we might assume that we understand what sexual harassment is. And where we are sitting, we do understand, but where the people are sitting may not understand. So what we did is that we went deeper to issues of harassment. I mean, the behaviors that we addresses at those trainings is around, in instances where, your colleague or your manager might ask about your dating life, and maybe you don't want to talk about it, but the manager starts insisting on it and saying, now, why are you single? Why are you gay? Why are you not having kids and stuff like that? And we wanted to teach, the whole company that can be constituted as harassment. And I mean, we went deeper into bullying, because we believe that bullying precedes harassment, and quite simple behaviors that we really taught the employees in the company was around examples around, because the mining industry is heavily male dominated, in any sitting or in any meeting, there might be one woman against 10 men. But oftentimes you really hear people giving a woman, a task to take minutes because they are more organized and whatever. And that could really exclude a woman from participating in strategic inputs. And those are the behaviors that we are teaching them during the program.
Lovely, thank you. I think there's so much of learning that other mining companies can glean from what Harmony Gold is doing. So thank you very much for sharing that insights. I think, Lungilwa, if I can come to you, because we really need to hear the voices of the youth, our future mining leaders themselves. So from your point of view, I know that Samya is actually putting a lot of programs in place for young professionals, emerging miners and so forth. Maybe you can share some of that with us?
So what we're seeing is that young women that are entering the space are really then at first hand impacted by the plight of GBV, and we mostly are seeing it within the entry-level operations in terms of junior miners and your SMMEs. So what we are looking to do as Samya is really partner with organizations where we find that SheQ and HR are lean in those operations. And we really say that, let us use the expertise that we have within Samya. Let us partner with organizations. Let us ensure that there's reporting that is there. Let us ensure that there's victim support. Let us also ensure that there is training in terms of awareness within the organizations that are basically operating in the space.
Oh, thank you for that deep insights. I think, ladies, importantly, all of you are making some sort of contribution to address gender-based violence. So maybe if you do have a concluding remark, a food for thought, some message to share with us around the scourge. Sylvia, maybe I can start with you.
I think if we look at, GBV issues, they are on a spotlight globally. And what that means is it's not going down. And I think it calls us, as a collective to partner and collaborate. And that's why with Harmony, when we started the work inside, we then realized that we cannot only do the work inside, we have to do the work outside, because the very same employees that comes in the morning, at the end of the day, they go back home. And then we started partnering with different entities so that we as a collective can really start working on the issue together if we are serious about making an impact.
Thank you very much, Beauty.
Thank you. I think within the DMPR, what we would like to see is mines implementing the guidance note that we actually promulgated, but also we would like to see them responding through reporting systems, because the NSP requires that. And fortunately, at a national level, there are systems to make sure that the reporting happens, and we need to be able to monitor how the implementation is happening. And as a tripartite, it is important for us to be able to work together with organized labor, with the organized employment, and even with us as a state.
Excellent. Lungelo?
So with regards to my recommendation or my view from a youth body, I would say that, the industry's GBV response is only as strong as its weakest implementation point. Large operations such as Harmony are moving. We have the regulation that has been put in place by the DMPR, but we are seeing that the junior miners and SMEs where predominantly young people are entering the sector are really left behind. So we're looking really as a non-profit organization to partner with organizations that are within the sector. We need to ensure that we're protecting young people who are entering the sector at every level.
Ladies, thank you so much for sharing today. They say sharing is caring, and we know that you're all making a great contribution to addressing gender-based violence in mining. So thank you so much for sharing your stories, experiences, and whatever you are doing to make this difference. So thank you very, very much. From the SATCAP side, I think we'd like to say that if you see something, do something, and make a stand against gender-based violence. So thank you so much. Thank you for listening to the podcast.